Good evening, St. Lucia. Good evening, my brothers and sisters of labor. Soufre, good evening. As we mark the 5th anniversary of our last election, I am happy to take this podium with my colleagues to speak to you for a little while. This evening, I have been asked to speak on good governance. And as long as you heard the word good, you know what it means, good governance. But my brothers and sisters, I am sad that we are discussing this subject at a time when our people, at a time when all of St. Lucia is in pain, at a time when our elderly are suffering, at a time when our elderly, up to today, have not received a stipend. So what is good governance? And why is it important for us to discuss that subject? Good governance is the international standard as to how we manage our government, our institutions, and our whole life. In reality, it is how we manage the limited resources that we have. Now, let us stand a moment and see what has happened to us as a people. Let us look at the resources that we've had in this country and how the Chasney administration have managed that limited resources that we have. Time and time again, we stand and we hear of the mismanagement. You have heard it. I have heard it. But let us focus on it a bit. Let me remind you of a few of the areas that fall within the category of bad management, or what you'd say a violation of the good governance principle. You may recall very early, the United Workers' Party government came into office, and the first thing they did was to appoint a deputy speaker one day, and the next day have Sarah Flood-Bobre resign, and the Honorable Prime Minister, our leader of our country, turned around and appointed her as the Minister for External Affairs. We could see that that was a violation of our Constitution, a violation of the principles and norms that we had in the past. And for 5 years, we heard it in Parliament, and our Prime Minister did not address it. Secondly, we've heard time and time again of the Prime Minister ignoring the whole tendering process. Again, he's our Minister for Finance. Time and time again, he has used the direct award mechanism to procure services and goods instead of using the basic tendering process, which is an international standard. We've heard of the UNORA International Airport. You've heard how the SLP government had already made arrangements where we could have that airport without having a cent in debt. And you have heard how the Honorable Prime Minister, the Minister for Finance, have placed us in a debt situation of almost $600 million. And he has not tendered. He has gone through the direct award process. And what is that for us? Of late, we've heard in the north about 1 mile of road that might cost us about $15 million. Again, that is examples of what you call a violation of the good governance principle. You can look at our other institutions. Look at what is happening at the National Insurance. It's because you have a board that has decided not to follow the principles of proper board governance and have instead aligned themselves to the political power. And what have they done? They've used the resources, over $40 million of our pension monies, for an investment that all of us know about, the Cabot investment. These are all examples of bad governance. Now, you know, with the direct award system, what it does, it opens our country to corruption. Because with the direct award, you have no opportunity to have a proper estimate of our cost of the product. So a road that might cost $15 million, it might be, a direct award might go for $30 million. That $15 million extra is a cost to the people of St. Lucia, a cost to the taxpayers. You might have, again, poor quality work because there's no competition. You have no standards, you have no plans in advance. So a road might be built and it has no drains. There's no competition. You might have, as a result, high debt as a result of that. And that is what has happened to us now. Because of the high debt, because of the poor governance, because of all of this, we have an economy that is sliding. You have heard of the ECCB report and where our government, where our economy was and where St. Lucia was and where St. Lucia has found itself. Right now, at one point, we were the pride and joy of the OECS. Today, we are the laughingstock of the OECS. There's a whole issue of transparency and accountability. Again, you've heard time and time again how our government have used our CIP funds. We do not know how they've used it. We've heard how Dominica have used theirs in housing. We've heard how St. Kitts have used theirs in housing. Our Honorable Prime Minister have not given us a full report as to how much money we received and how that money was spent. You could see the wastage in St. Jude's construction. That, again, is poor governance. If you go down to home in Soufrière, the Soufrière Foundation, poor management. We left $1.8 million in cash, receivables of $1 million. Now, the foundation is cash-strapped. What is the cost of that? The foundation is not able to give the children of Soufrière a stipend to purchase the school supplies. St. Lucia, there is a cost to corruption. And this Alan Chasney government have brought this country into corruption and have, because of poor governance, have brought us on our knees. I'm asking you to give them an F for their performance. And when this bell is rung, I want you to go and be a judge and be fair to them. Give them the F as a judge and ensure that this country has a government that is going to look after your interests. Now that interest, when you look at somebody like Philippe J. Pierre, Honorable Philippe J. Pierre, our political leader, somebody through his entire political life, you cannot accuse him. You cannot point a finger of him abusing the resources of the people or of the state. You cannot do that. We have no evidence of that. And when you look at the team, men and women who are committed and capable of serving you, using the limited resources that we have for the interests of the people of St. Lucia. So this evening, I want to thank you for the support to the St. Lucia Labour Party. I want to thank you for the patience that you've had. This election will be called, even when they do not want to call it. And I want you to do what is right. Put St. Lucia first. Soufrière, I want you to do what is right. Go in there and vote Emma Hippolyte for Soufrière for Jacques. I thank you.